Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. And thank you for playing my little opening bit there with Lorena McKennett, my muse. I had to listen to her music this week. I don't know what's going on, but
Wow, I could have
yeah.
used it last night. I don't know what it was, but I kind of had to be a little bit to myself a little bit there, Loretta, just to kind of, come forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm feeling you there. I'm
I don't,
totally with you.
I don't know if anybody else was feeling it last night, but I was like, all right, I just need a minute.
Yeah.
I need a few minutes.
It's interesting you bring that up because yeah, actually I was feeling the same way yesterday, and I was like, "What's with me? I'm like Little Miss Cranky Pants, and I'm
Me
not normally like
too.
that." Yeah.
We could have been cranky together. Hmm. Maybe next time.
Next time text me. Just set, like a little
Just text
cranky pants meme, and I'll be like, "Yeah,
with these like, "Rawr,
doing it. Yeah,
rawr."
yeah, doing it." My my son, we started this thing a while back where I'm like, oh man, I need to be doing that or whatnot. And he'll go, Mom, and I'll go, what? He goes, thinking about it is doing it. So just say, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm really doing it. And then you always have to do the dance, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So the cranky pants dance for
It has to
anybody
follow,
listening
of course.
has to
Yeah.
follow if you're
Mhm.
feeling cranky. Anyway, thanks for that.
No problem.
I hope, please do not change your radio dial. Stay with us. We have a great show for you. And it is not the Cranky Pants show. Or I don't know, maybe it could be. Anyway, I'm Loretta Brown. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. For 27 years, we're still around. And there's always things going on over there. And from my heart, I just want to give a big thank you to all of the people that have supported me through the years and continue to support me. I am a small business owner, a local small business owner, and I truly appreciate it. So, just so FYI, and for all of you that support your local businesses everywhere, angel kisses to you. This Saturday, which is, what is it, March 12th, I have a Reiki 2 class, and you can sign up for that at schedule.reikioasis.com. It is an in person class. I know. I know. And so we're excited about that. And I do have a few openings left. It is a small class. I have a limited space, but we will be meeting in person. You have to have taken Reiki 1 in order to take Reiki 2. That's how that works. And then Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I have Sunday meditation with Loretta. If you cannot be there at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, sign up anyway. I will send you a recording of the meditation, and that's a good thing. Then you can listen to it. And I don't know, a lot of people say they they fall asleep. Is that okay? Yes, of course it is okay. And then on Saturday, March 19th, I have the Temple of the Divine Feminine, which is my monthly class for women. And we are springing into the spring equinox. So it's going to be a big temple. We're going to have fun. And by the way, remember to turn your clocks forward on Sunday. Spring, spring forward, spring. I don't know. I'm going to bite my tongue. Why do we do it? Don't know why we do it. Anyway, all right, I'm going to move on because you can all tell I'm a little bit still cranky, but my guest is going to cheer me up in just a minute. So before I bring her on, I want to check in with the astrological sky. As I mentioned, there are no retrograde planets in the month of March. Some people thought that when I said that, I was saying March would be easy. Well, it's more like March Madness. And I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like being on the freeway and all of a sudden there's no speed limits. Woof, woof, woof. Yeah. So be aware of the fact that that forward moving energy is going to get you up and moving, and take a couple of deep breaths and, use it for your own self. So on Saturday, the day after tomorrow, we have the annual meeting of the Sun and Neptune. the Sun, and Neptune, which is a day of creativity, spiritual growth, and higher love. Neptune is considered the planet of universal love, and it helps us realize we are all connected. And at our core, at that deep level, we're just one, right? So treat other people the way you'd like to be treated, because it is you, kind of, sort of, right? Yeah. Neptune and the Sun coming together can amplify spiritual insights and help us connect to our intuition. And it makes it easier for us to connect with the divine realms. So it's a good day to do some kind of journaling or go in nature and connect or something. Neptune also rules over the world of fantasy, art, and music. It's a very creative day. On Wednesday, March 16th, Pallas, the asteroid of strength and courage, conjuncts Chiron, the wounded healer. Strength and courage, connecting with the wounded healer. Might help bring up fearlessness. It might help us stand up for what we believe in, or it might give us that strength, that little extra strength we've been needing to address our woundedness, right? And as these two come together, we might find it easier to step into that healing journey. And actually, that's the powerful energy to bring my guest in with, right? Because we all know that this is a very challenging time. There's a lot of stuff going on. We always have to begin with ourselves, right? If we change ourselves, we can change the world. It always sounds so like canned or corny, but it's actually true. So my guest today, Penny Murray, is a soul sister of mine. I love her dearly. She's the founder of Resilient Balance. She's a personal, integrative, ancestral guide. What's that? Who helps you free yourself from inherited patterns, emotional, mental, and sometimes physical. Penny says she finds great joy connecting her lifelong clairvoyance with the sound medicine of tuning forks and the wisdom of Euphoralite stones to bring stuck or looping ancestral patterns to rest. The ancestors can then move forward with their purpose, while the living, which hopefully is us, experience more harmony and freedom. And Penny lives in the beautiful Teton Valley, and she works with people around the world. Welcome to the show, Penny. I've really been looking forward to it.
Hi, Loretta. Thank you.
You look beautiful today in pink.
Oh, same to you. You look great. That sun shining on your hair.
Thank you. It's such a great energy to have you be here today with those asteroids coming together in the sky, that woundedness and that strength and courage, that fearlessness kind of that we need. And also this overlay of brotherly love in the middle of great change on the planet. I would like you to give us a little bit of background on yourself. Just, you don't have to write an autobiography, but lay a little bit of groundwork for the listeners as to who are you? How did you get into what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. I am Penny Murray. And, the question more for me is, when did this work get into me? Because I was not searching for it. I've had a successful sound healing practice for years. And then I just started receiving more information clairvoyantly, feeling more into colors, emotions, energetic imprints. And once I realized that these were the ancestors really trying to get through to me, to get through to my client, the whole world changed for me. The whole purpose of striking a tuning fork and lining up the stones correctly. And for the past, quite a while, it's just been this huge trajectory of massive, massive healing going on. There's an Irish proverb that says the troubles in this world can only be healed in the other world, and the troubles in the other world can only be healed in this world. And that is an absolute truth from what I have seen in the past years, with the the healing that's gone on.
Wow, I love what you just said. I kind of want you to say that again. Say that Irish proverb again.
Oh, well, the troubles in this world can only be healed in the other world. And the troubles in the other world can only be healed in this world.
Wow. I love that so much. Number one, I'm part Irish, right? Sorry, people, it happens. And the other thing, though, is that this connection between the other world and this world, I hear that very clearly in what you're saying, right? So what is, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. What are ancestral patterns and how do we inherit them?
Ancestral patterns can be really anything from emotional responses to troubles with addictions, troubles with relationships, troubles with communication, hoarding, just like some personality things that we just don't understand why we have them. Like if you could think of something you have a propensity towards, but you're like, that is so not me, but it still happens. That is generally an inherited pattern, right? Some baggage that is looking to be healed through you from your ancestors. And it'll keep coming up and coming up and coming up until it's seen and heard and resolved.
So that is like, because a lot of people say, oh, they're ancestral healing, there's all this ancestral healing. And I even have, some of my clients come to me and say, I know that I'm here to heal those ancestral lineages, right? So talk a little bit more about that, because I think this is really important. So when you talk about it's inherited as a pattern, it's inherited energetically, it's inherited as a behavior.
Yeah. And I think this is a great moment to kind of define ancestor, right?
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying about Neptune, and we are all one, right? Of course, we have our ancestral lineage, right? But when we think about that whole big picture and expand it as one, anyone who's died is an ancestor. Anyone who comes after us is a descendant, right? So that's how I really define ancestor and descendant. And so those patterns, like say we talk about a cultural pattern, we could even just go right into, patterns of the pandemic and patterns of what's going on in Ukraine right now. The pandemic is bringing out, these dormant fears. I work with people who have developed agoraphobia. They're afraid to go outside, but they're claustrophobic inside. They don't want to be around people, but they're lonely. And so that is being triggered by things that were also not resolved when there were other pandemics. And the Ukraine right now is just this, well, it's a mass atrocity. It's a man-made mass atrocity, right? Where nobody asked for this. No one, Ukraine was just happy in its little independent nation. And then the fear from this leader led him to need more power, right? That's an inherited pattern right there, right? Culturally, generationally, just as a Homo sapien, right? This tendency to want to have control, to feel safe. And then we have the people of the Ukraine who really value their independence, but now they're being thrown into these fear patterns, and those fear patterns are going to last for generations and generations and generations and just reverberate down. It's like this seed of fear, and we know that there's very little strength in fear, right?
I'm fascinated by what you're saying, because I've been thinking, during the pandemic and during the new things, war on planet Earth. My work, I do a lot of work with past life regressions, or I do a lot of work with patterning, energetic patterns. And I really noticed, like with the pandemic, that the minute everybody went into lockdown, these enormous fears were coming up in people that were over and beyond, right? And in my work, which is different than yours, right? I didn't necessarily go after ancestral healing, but I was finding past lives coming up in people. And sometimes I have wondered if it's their memory or the memory of an ancestor, right? Some lineage. And that's something maybe we could talk about at a different time. But these patterns that awaken in us, where, like you say, because now I am running into, we're finally, our mask mandates are going away after 2 years, and I've got people who are afraid to go out of their home. So what you just said. So talk a little bit more about how these ancestral patterns show up, and I know I'm talking a lot. Yeah, I know you can take it, but also this idea that we hear, looking at, for instance, Ukraine, right? We're having ancestral pattern activation within us just by being the observer of that, and of course we got people on all sides of the coin. So talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, it's said with some fantastic historians, Yuval Harari being one of them, that the seeds for this war right now were planted during Leningrad, right? And so this fear has been like eddying. This need to be in control has been eddying for that long, and now it's coming to fruition. And with technology, although I love the spirit of technology, blessed, that's why we're here, right now, all together. There is this whole new war going on of this patterning of how can I support or defend? And we can do it through the computer. We can do it through technology. And so there's it's like this whole new layer of fear entering into a cellular memory of that, in the future may also lend hand to another 50 or 80 years down the road, where it comes out as a war against AI, right?
Right.
And so it's like these continual patterns, and it's kind of like expecting to be able to move forward without fixing what happened before. We need to give attention to the other world to see where the root cause happened, and really bring as much of that to rest as is possible, so that we can bring that rest into the now and into the future. So these propensities for fighting and living in fear are lessened. And there's a different taste of a breadcrumb left to pick up for the generations, right? We want them to be joyful and thrive. And that's the job of an ancestor, right? Is to help us thrive. But when they're not recognized, when they're not seen, when they're not heard, their magic is laying dormant and they can't help us, right? So it's really on us consciously to take a hold of the reins and be responsible for the shift. It's not an SCP. It's not someone else's problem, right? In 80 years, should this AI thing be going on, or any kind of war be going on, that generation is going to have to heal us to be able to move forward, right? If we don't do our work now. That's the truth.
Wow. That's so deep. It really is. It's to the point. And, when you think about, okay, so to do this work, this ancestral work, your work is the Ancestral Resolution Program, right? you've created this, it's come out of what you've done. But for us to be able to heal ourselves, we must heal the ancestors. And then that sets everyone free to go about what it is they need to go about. Like you said, I love this ancestral magic concept. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a great example, well, this might be more of a generational or an emotional loyalty. Like, say you, say anybody out there has never felt seen by one of their parents. Okay. And so throughout life, you're looking to be seen by this parent. Okay. And so we go back another generation, and this parent was never seen by their parent, and so on and so on. And so the parent that was never seen by their parent is still so busy trying to be seen by their parent, alive or dead. They still have this cellular memory of needing to be seen, that they're not going to see their children, the next generation. And then the child of that parent is going to do the same thing. It's nothing you're asking to do or want to do, but that loyalty is going to stick until the awareness is made and we get to the root cause of 4 generations ago. Sally wasn't seen by her mom because her mom was busy raising 9 kids alone. Right?
Yes.
And so those kinds of loyalties and patterns, I'm sure anybody listening right now can think of something, right? And be like, wow, that's not mine. And that's really freeing when we can realize, wow, I do this, but it's not mine. And by me bringing awareness to it and being willing to be courageous and vulnerable enough to help the past generations, I can literally change the world. I can bring in world peace through me for generations to come.
Wow. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm thinking about someone that I was talking to the other day, who was saying something along the line, well, I know that my mother probably had issues, blah, 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 right? And I'm repeating that same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm right. So that actually supports everything that you just said. Yeah, I'm sure everybody listening is starting to fire up a little bit, going, oh my goodness. Like I never thought of the fact that that was an ancestral pattern or didn't belong to me. So when we spend a lot of our time and energy trying to, I don't know if resolve is the right word, we're living these old patterns, we're not free to be who we're meant to be.
No, our innate potential is actually, at least a piece of it, right, is laying dormant because it's entangled in this pattern, this loyalty that keeps you safe. Right. And the thing about these patterns is that we don't even know we're born with them because it's just kind of who we've always been. Right.
Yeah.
So,
you have we were talking the other day, we're talking about how we've been kind of like you say, we've been locking ourselves down, maybe locking ourselves down from emotion, locking ourselves down from moving forward, whatever that might be. And you made a great statement. You said, well, we're locking down because we're stuck up. And I wrote that down because I went, that's your $1 million t-shirt, right?
Right.
But can you talk about what that means? What do you mean? We're locking down because we are stuck up.
Well, I find often in my clients and throughout my life, right? Like throughout my day, we have these elements, right? We have the air and fire and water and earth. We have all these elements that run through our bodies, right? Or at least they need to, right? And so the stuck up part is when like the airy imagination is going on, and the fiery intellect, right? Like, thinking about world conditions right now, right? Like we're analyzing, we're getting information, quote unquote. And then we're like, well, where's this going to go from here? Where's this going to go from here? And all of this energy is like stuck up here, like in like that, sixth and seventh energy plexus area. And so our foreheads can actually feel heavy. We're frowning more. And what happens is we get stuck in there. We're driving like that. We're interacting with our family like that. And below, in the water and the earth, in our body, those watery emotions, we're feeling fear, right? Because it's only the air and the fire is only coming down so far, right? And so we're not digesting what the fear is trying to tell us. We're not being able to get into the earthy element and have the whole village of our emotions working together. And we lose sleep, we lose our appetite, we look to numbing, we look to not healing, which is exactly the opposite direction we need to go, right?
Yeah.
We need to understand that we are big enough to heal. We are big enough to heal. I think that's so important for people to understand.
I love that. And once again, this is one of those things that we hear too much, but we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are big enough to heal. I love it. This is a great place to take a station break. We'll take a little break and we'll be right back. This is, of course, the original Loretta Brown. I'm sorry, it's too funny to say that. And my wonderful guest today is Penny Murray, the founder of Resilient Balance and an Integrative Ancestral Guide. She has the Ancestral Resolution Program, and you're going to want to work with her. So anyway, we're going to take a little station break. We'll be right back.
Okay, all clear. Still live on YouTube.
I love this so much. This whole idea, because I'm playing with this while you're talking. My work is much more energetic, right? And of course I love the sound. I'm probably going to get more into all of this after talking to you, but these patterns and the sound. So when you strike that fork, does it light up for you? Does it talk to you? Does the pattern what?
Yeah, it can. And also, sometimes I'm told that it's not sound that they want. They want vibration.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Right.
And so,
right. Yeah.
But there is an intention set that this is what we're doing. We are here to honor the ancestors. We are here to heal what is ready to come up, right? And so it's not a forced thing. And so when I do strike that fork, it does light up. The edge of the energetic field lights up. Sometimes I get information like that. Sometimes I have to sit for a minute because it's either needs a different tone or vibration, or it's like the imprint is waiting to come forward.
Are you clairvoyant, clairaudient? Are you both?
All of it.
Clairsentient? Yeah, me too. I'm all of the clairs. And then too many eclairs. That's.
Ooh, I love eclairs. But yeah, all of it. As a child, I have a real fond memories of a couple different instances. And one was when my cousin was born, and my mom was on the phone and she was saying, your aunt had her baby, and I knew what she named her, how much she weighed, and how long she was. I was like 7 years old, right? And I just so remember the look on my mother's face, like,
Who is this child?
Who is
I
this
gotta bring you guys back on
child?
here.
And just
Okay, we're coming back on.
All right, stand by.
People are changing.
Woohoo! Thanks, Benny. I kind of feel like we need a dance party. You know, I got to dance my cranky pants away. Anyway,
yes, put on your party pants.
hey, Benny could DJ that for us. We'll go for it.
Guess
Anyway,
I got
welcome.
another gig.
Yeah, exactly. Dance the cranky pants away parties. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my guest, Penny Murray, the founder of Resilient Balance and an Integrative Ancestral Guide. You can find out everything about me, Loretta Brown, at the KKNW archives. And of course, all the shows are recorded and they're there forever. We're on Podcast One, iTunes, Spotify. We're all over the place. And also at ReikiOasis.com, you can find out about me. So, yeah. During the break, I was having a great talk with Penny about her clair abilities, her many clairs. And also, we're talking about the health of the ancestors. So I got a question for, I'm not quite sure how to ask the question. Do we need to know who our ancestors are in order to do this work? And, you know, during the break, you said something about the ancestors want vibration. So talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we absolutely do not need to know who our ancestors are. You know, me personally, like I can go back 1.5 generations, like a little further on my mom's side, but not much on my dad's, but I'm still healing it, right? So we don't need to know names, numbers, or anything like that. It's the intention, and it's just putting out the honoring that will bring them forth. Yeah, and sometimes, so I do a lot of work with sound, but sometimes the ancestors, they need something not so striking. They need, you know, they're more in alignment with a vibration of like the Schumann resonance or the Fibonacci sequence, and to bring back natural order or to bring back the natural rhythm of what the earth is pulsing at, that will bring about their healing more than a tone.
And is that where the Euphoralite stones come in also?
Oh, the Euphoralite stones. Oh, I'm so glad. So I have had a beautiful relationship with stones and rocks, and they are different my whole life. And the Euphoralite stones come in their wisdom of their sentience, right? They hold so much knowledge.
Thank you. I was going to ask if you had them there because I feel like they're saying, thank you, talk about us. Right?
Yeah, you know, well, I have probably 15 to 20 different strains of Euphoralite. And this morning, I just wanted to make sure I stayed grounded. So I brought in a little earth and this lively little piece of transformation. And so they're my little buddies right now, but they bring in guide. They bring in guides. They are the guides. They often, if something is hard to move or hard for the ancestor to come to terms with, an instance might be if they didn't know they were dead.
Right.
You know, a lot of the time, I have this piece of, it's called White. It's Euphoralite and it's called White. And she's like the grandmother or grandfather. She's ambiguous, right? But they'll come in with like these hands and just like hold the space and help move it to where it needs to go, more into this ancestral river idea, to find resolve. Sometimes during the session, I have a picture of my client. I have the Euphoralite stones surrounding them. And sometimes all the sentience of each different stone show up in the space, and they're observing,
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
to help.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I want to let the listening audience know that I've worked with Penny, right? It's one of the reasons she's on my show. And without giving away all my secrets, I just want to let everyone know that she is the real thing. Like, I don't endorse people lightly. She is the real thing. And I experienced my own ancestors. In fact, one of my grandfathers showed up, very unexpected, and helped me move through something around music that needed to happen. But I know I'm tasting smoke in my mouth again. I don't smoke, and I know he's around because I can taste smoke in my mouth. And I never knew my grandfather. He died when my dad was a child, right? So it's one of those indefinable things. But I do want people to know that the work that Penny does, we're trying to figure out how to define it. But if you've ever done any kind of energy work, you've done spiritual work, you've done sound healing work, you've done things with the crystals, Penny kind of brings it all together. And you will, believe me, it's different than anything else, and it will literally set you free from all kinds of things and bring insight. So I wanted to share that. I want to say to Penny, if you don't mind talking a little bit about the work that you've done with residential schools in Canada, or any, or the buried miners, or whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I would be honored to. I've continued to do this work with the residential schools with my dear friend Donna Shu, First Nation lineage, and it kind of happened by the first session happened, it just happened, and we realized what was going on when working on the outside edge of the field. Like, all of a sudden, like, children, imprints of children, these energetic imprints of children, babies, bones, everything just kept showing up. And in a boat on a desert, like, the metaphors I receive are unfound. They're just immeasurable, like, and they mean something, right, every time. And we moved about 2,000 to 3,000 souls that day, right? We had found imprints of where the abuse came from, who the guards were. The work was so beautiful. There was one very special leader who the imprints all trusted, so they followed him, and we were able to just stay with it and resolve. And I just want to note that this was before Kamloops was discovered. In fact, we did the session 12 hours before Kamloops was discovered. And then having the excavator or bulldozer go in this direction on that particular day and dig in that particular spot right after this session just sends my spine lights up, right? And the work is, there's so much about that session that was so beautiful. But we continue to do that work. And, there's maybe about 40,000 souls. We have lists of schools. We ask where we are. We ask who they are. And the work continues. And it's like a life project. I've also had mass amounts of buried miners come out. I've worked with this one beautiful woman, and we've worked with the rape of Nanking when Japan invaded China and rescued thousands, or honored, not rescued, but honored all these souls that were piled up. Right?
I like what you're saying about honoring these souls as opposed to rescuing them. And if I understand correctly, once they are honored in this way that they want, then they are set free.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. So healed, or, because we have to use that word carefully,
Yeah.
Honored is probably right.
Yeah, they honored. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They want to do their job. They want to help us help us thrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only way they can move on. And sometimes they need to rest, before that can all happen. But then they hear the tone or they feel the vibration, and it's their calling, it's their time.
It's interesting to me because over the last few months, I've interviewed quite a few people who do work with the dearly departed, right? Or have had experiences with souls on the other side. And I remember one of my guests, it might have been Karen Johnson, who lost her son, right? Her son died from a heroin overdose very suddenly. And somewhere along the line, she got the message that she needed to, the way she said it was, to let him go, right? She needed to do this work on this side so he could be set free to go do what he needed to do. And in its own right, she was honoring him in that way. It feels very similar to me in whatever this is, right? So for the work that you do, your Ancestral Resolution Program, I want you to talk more about that, because we obviously, I'm going to say this again, Penny is, in my opinion, kind of a pioneer in this whole thing of trying to figure out how to put language around this in a way that makes some kind of sense when, you really just sort of stumbled into the work through the other work you were doing, right? It bloomed and developed, and often happens. But tell us about your Ancestral Resolution Program. What can people expect from it, and what does it look like? Like one session, 25, give us a little bit about it, right?
Yeah. So just to step back for just a moment, there are a lot of ancestral programs out there. Jill Peirce, wife of Rupert Sheldrake, she's been working with the ancestors for 40 years. Right. So she's like the pioneer. But bringing together sound and stone is unique. Right. And it is what I'm driven to do. My program also is unique in that it's very interactive. Right. We are each our own healer. Right. We often need a witness for it to happen, because the ego will stop the healing if the ego feels threatened. So we need that witness and that conduit. So the whole program is very interactive. When someone signs up, they're immediately sent, it's 3 sessions, right, for a full series. Immediately, someone is sent some information, worksheet information, that they need to focus on, or they can. It's nice to, because the first session is all about fortifying the client's truth, where they are right now. Where are their strengths? Where do they need to be opened up to receiving, or where does that receiving just need to be brought more into resilience, right? And balancing that. The next session is a pretty big session. They're 90 minutes, and that's when the resolution happens. Again, there's another set of worksheets to bring awareness to these patterns we've been talking about, emotional and generational loyalties. And oftentimes, since the awareness has been brought up, the core piece, the root cause to that, will show up in the session. Not guaranteed, but oftentimes it will show up, right? Yes. And we work with the masculine and the feminine in that session, right? We're balancing out where those root causes might be for feeling powerful or powerless or always prickly, right? Or always sad, or, having that not settled in any way. And then a third session, again, there's a worksheet and more information. The third session is all about harmonizing, like bringing into harmony the heart space in the midline that runs up through our body, where those energy plexus are located, how they've been opened up and transformed, ensuring that, any events throughout life that were tethered to those root causes of discord are cleared, right? They're not needed in the field anymore to inform the body. And so we harmonize that. The Euphoralite stones are brought in through every session. Pictures of the stones are shared with my clients. The resolution session is offered to be recorded and sent to them to keep, and to maybe have more aha moments on their own. Often people use the pictures of the stones for meditation purposes. And the worksheets are amazing tools to do some own work after, to realize more patterns, or if you want that to be true, but it doesn't necessarily feel true when you say it.
Do you have any examples of how people's lives have changed after their work with you?
I do. And it's just on my website, there's a list of testimonials. But I will, I don't even know how to just pick one. But, recently I've worked with this, one that keeps coming to mind is this woman that I've worked with. And there were generational patterns of the way the men would die. Okay. And I need to be very general here, just to protect the person. And when we first got into the resolution process, the oldest one that started this, where this pattern began, showed up immediately. And then the generation closer to her, who had also passed, showed up. And then the next generation, which was a sibling of hers, showed up. And the middle actually had a cord, right? So the session started with a cord from the father to the earth that had to make a serious decision while he was alive. And he was still attached to that decision. It had never been resolved in his heart, in his person. And when that was resolved, the younger was like set free, right?
Wow.
And then he was set free. And the reason I know about it starting one generation before was because I had to just back up a little bit, like, why is this happening? And he just got to break down and like dissolve, like it was like he dissolved. What happened here on Earth is that the still alive parent had a big, now this still alive parent was not in session, had a big shift to, change things in the house since her husband had passed. That hadn't happened at all, right? Like she was still holding on to all the physical stuff. But the next day she called my client and said, it's time.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on and on. A young woman I just worked with, she decided to move. She fell in love. She found her voice and a place to sing and honor it.
I hear you. Yeah. I'm also thinking, because someone I talked to this week was talking about she goes, all the women in my family die at this age. And, yeah, I'm going to refer to you. And she
Yes.
says, so I only have, 15 years left or whatever.
Yeah,
And
she's
I'm like,
got her program's all set.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where I'm like, everybody listening, really pay attention to these sorts of odd things, because it's very possible that there's some sort of a resolution that needs to occur, some sort of something that needs to shift that patterning, right? So that you can get on with whatever. Yeah, fascinating.
What people can do is they can say, okay, I'm having this thought that I'm going to die at 85 because everyone in my life has died at 85. And then see what that feels like, and then see what the response is, right? Thought, feeling, response. And that's how you can really recognize that pattern.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, are you writing a book, please?
Yes. I actually have two. These sessions are unbelievable, right? And so I would love to, honoring the space and protection of the people for who are so courageous to go through this. The story, they need to be told. They at least need to be referred to, right?
I also think your work is really great because it puts us in, how do I say this? There's the lineage of Earth, if I could put it such a way. It's
absolutely.
Like we are a vital part of that which has come before and that which goes after. And this work, I think, really brings that to the forefront, not only personally, but, kind of globally. And you said this at the beginning of the show, the things that we're all going through right now, it's kind of important that we do this work. Otherwise, generations down the road are going to have to heal us.
Nothing's going to change. We're going to be stuck in the loop forever.
Yeah. So your work is really important right now. So we have, believe it or not, just a couple minutes left. I know. What do you really want to say to people? What have we not said that you really want to say?
I don't know. We're big enough. Do the work. Find a modality that works for you. Find me. See if we can work together. But, like we were just saying, bring conscious awareness to your patterns, because if you have this pattern, you're not the only one. And the more we heal that pattern, the pattern of fear, the less power fear has, the less power hatred has, and we can fill that with light and joy, right? Know that the work is real. Know that you are getting messages all the time. And your ancestors need you as much as you need their magic, their wisdom to help you through, to get to the next piece of your life, to add more happiness, right?
This idea too, that for us to tap into individual truth versus ancestral truth, right? Because individual truth then can be like, we don't have to repeat those patterns.
We don't have to repeat those patterns.
And I really am a firm believer in what you just said. We are shifting from a time of fear into a time of, we say love, but that word love is so difficult to digest, right? But to resolve these issues from the past so that we can move on. Yeah. Where do people find you, Penny?
Anyone can find me at resilientbalance.com. And all my contact information is there. I also have Resilient Balance Lifestyle on Facebook, although it's in its infancy, so bear with me. And all lowercase Penny_D_Murray on Instagram, also in its infancy. I've not been a big social media person, so.
Right. And it's Murray, right?
True.
So
yes.
Get a hold of Penny Murray, do some ancestral resolution and Oh my goodness, let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from everybody. So have a great and wonderful weekend and week. Penny, thanks for coming, and bye-bye, everybody.